we're not in October yet.
No,
so I would
not
think
quite.
that all the scary movies will be in next month. So, what am I saying? There's going to be a ton of scary movies in this, as there are every month.
There's a lot of scary movies coming on Amazon Prime. It seems to be their focus, so.
And, of course, Mandy came out a couple of weeks ago. We already talked about that. But
right.
Cage, so they're already ramping it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hear it, Adam. How's that for an introduction?
What movies can we poke fun at this month?
Well, it's a mixed batch as usual, but there's some guilty pleasures and some genuinely good movies here, and so we'll get into it. September 4th, we'll go all the way back to the beginning of the month. For anybody who missed the Mr. Rogers documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, that's out now, and so you can see that in the comfort of your home. In case you missed it, it is a terrific movie. We've discussed that. I just wanted to make sure people knew.
One of the top of the year.
Yeah,
for
and sure. Quite a success for a documentary film.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And another one is, speaking of horror films, Ghost Stories, which is a 2017 movie that was getting really good reviews. And this is a Scream Factory release, one of those IFC Scream Factory releases. It's an anthology movie, and it's based on a stage play, believe it or not, but it had like a 98% or 95%, something along those lines on Rotten Tomatoes. But I watched it, and the stories themselves they're not really all that good, the actual the actual quote-unquote ghost stories, but it has an interesting wraparound sequence that's really it's really good.
The thing that connects them all.
Yeah, the connecting thread is good. The stories aren't that good; they're very predictable. But the connecting thread, which involves Martin Freeman from Hobbit and all that, he's in that section, and it's really pretty interesting and imaginative. So, Ghost Stories, just wanted to mention that. And then we'll go back into catalog titles. Here's a couple from the 90s. Hocus Pocus. Speaking of Halloween and all that.
Is that the thing with the witches?
This is the one with Bette Midler. I do not understand how this movie has become such a favorite over the years. I
can explain it. It's the same thing that happened to the Goonies. It's like one of the first movies of that kind to come out on videotape, and so the kids of that era watched it over and over again, and it became a favorite that way.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
They're doing a 25th anniversary on that, and Nightmare Before Christmas, which is obviously much better.
Yeah.
But those are both, I guess they were touched on Disney. I know they were Disney, but I can't remember if they were Disney or touched on one of the two.
I was never a huge fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, but I realized it is skillfully made. I just don't particularly like the music in it.
Yeah. I wasn't as over the moon about it as everybody else seemed to be at the time of its release, but there were things I liked about it. So, but how about the 1991? This was the first time Sylvester Stallone attempted comedy. Oscar, directed by John Landis. What do you want to say about this?
I tried to watch it once, and I couldn't get through it. So I know that it's got some kind of revisionist opinions behind it. Say that it's actually really good, but I didn't care for it.
Yeah,
that's one of the movies. Well, there's thousands of bad movies that that Aaron will defend. That's one of them. He and I actually talked the other night about Cop and a Half, and he was like, not a bad movie. I was like, Aaron, it is an awful movie. Nothing about that movie works. It is inept, like in every way possible. It's not anybody's fault except the person that wrote the thing on paper to begin with. You know, you can't blame Burt Reynolds for it. How could you make Cop and a Half work? But you know, I mean, come on. Charity can only go so far. But what's the movie? Oscar. Pacino was originally supposed to star in that, and then that was one of them that he was smart enough to turn down ultimately. He was circling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he smelled a turkey. So, yeah, it has the usual interesting casting that John Landis was known for, stunt casting, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
It's a lot of those people that
Kirk
you don't
Douglas
want.
in this one?
Yeah.
No, he isn't.
Doesn't Kirk Douglas plays the Don that?
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Don Amici and Peter
father.
Riegert. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
all right. Okay.
Anyway, so we'll go to a better film. This is a Criterion release. How about Scenes from a Marriage?
Oh, that's brilliant. Of course, done as a TV show. It was a TV show first.
I thought she said Scenes from a Mall for a second. Two totally different movies.
Which, of course, Woody Allen lifts that whole idea, Scenes from Bergman. But Scenes from a Marriage is brilliant. Originally done as a TV series in Sweden, like Fanny and Alexander and so many of his other movies. Mm-hmm. But it is really great. And Lee Volman should have won an Oscar for it, but instead they disqualified the movie from running because it was originally shown on television back when they were doing that. So back when they disqualified things for that reason. But it is a great movie, and like all Bergman movies, especially this one, it's what is it in this cut on the? Is it 3 hours long or is it?
It's both.
Oh, they got both of them. Okay.
It has both. Yeah.
So they have. What's the other cut? 6 hours.
It's 6 hour. It's complete.
Okay.
6 hour miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah, you get both, 2 for the price of 1.
Okay.
So, and I have not seen the 6 hour version, and I'd really like to because I'm a big fan of the original version. I think it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Criterion release. And then another, and by the way, Oscar was a Kino release, as is Once Upon a Crime with John Candy.
Oh gosh, I barely remember that.
Early 90s.
Okay. God, that must have snuck out of theaters really, like been out in and out like lickety split.
Yeah.
Very much like Canadian Bacon, the other Michael Moore. Comedy.
Yeah, and
wasn't that the one he was shooting? No, that was Wagons East. The one he was shooting when he died.
Yeah.
Oh, there were a bunch of turkeys there towards the end of his life. It was so sad because he was such a talented guy, and they were just like Nothing But Trouble was another one, and just I'm trying to think about the one where he dresses up in drag, but I can't. It's like some sort of a like a
Armed and Dangerous or something.
What is
Armed and Dangerous?
Yeah.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking about. But yeah, that's pretty bad too. This is the one made by Tom Mankiewicz, I think. I remember he was the director, and he's Delirious. That's it, I believe.
Delirious. Yeah.
That's really bad.
That is.
He's like a crime writer who gets a knock on the head, and I don't remember all the. God,
terrible.
Who's Harry Crumb?
Who's Harry Crumb?
Oh, that's another bad one. Yeah, there's a lot of.
That period that is just so sad for him. That's probably one of the things that contributed to his early death. Maybe.
I know.
Things weren't so funny anymore.
I always had it in for Armed. I guess I had it in for Armed and Dangerous anyway, because it came out the same weekend or around the same time as Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, which I was dying to see, but it was unrated, and if you were under 17, you could not get in. And so I waltzed up to the door. I was 16 at the time, just recently got my license, and I said, I'll have one ticket for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Well, let me see your ID. This was a theater that sometimes would check and sometimes not, so I thought, I might get lucky today. So I showed him my ID, of course, and nope, you're not getting in. So I had to buy a ticket to Armed and Dangerous. No, I think my mom had dropped me off at that time. My car was in the shop or something. And anyway, I was stuck at the theater, had to go see Armed and Dangerous because I was stuck there for 2 hours. And so I should have snuck in there.
I would have snuck in.
I should have.
Whatever.
back in those days, I just did whatever.
And then you finally saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and you thought to yourself, Armed and Dangerous isn't such a bad movie.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. Pretty much. But I was still angry because I didn't get to see what I came to see. Anyway, well, another release from that week is Deep Red, the Dario Argento film. This is the Arrow Video release, and they've done a spiffy new transfer, and it's actually got a featurette with Argento talking about it, nice little booklet and all that stuff.
That's one of his movies I really like. Now,
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's really, really imaginative. Has some really fantastic shots in it too. Like
sure does. Yeah.
There was a shot of a record player in that movie.
There is. That's correct.
That is nuts. So it sounds weird to say that.
I got to check it out now.
Yeah, but it's wild.
Yeah. It has an interesting history because when it was originally released in the United States, it clocked in about 97 minutes, I believe. This is the complete 2-hour and 7-minute cut.
Wow.
Which has been restored.
Oh, wow.
And there's new subtitles.
That sounds like it's worth seeing.
Yeah, it's almost it's close to a half hour longer. So, yes, absolutely. But it's a nice package from Arrow Video. Like I said, there's a reversible sleeve that has the original artwork and then newly commissioned artwork, and there's trailers and all that. So it's good if you're a fan of Deep Red. Certainly worth checking out. Speaking of Cop and a Half, that's one of the titles for this week.
Really?
Yeah, we'll not reiterate what we said about it, but
does that have commentary on it?
I think it's bare bones, I believe. Yeah.
That's probably another one of those movies that some people feel affectionate towards because it was one of the first movies they watched on video.
Yeah.
So
good Lord. What kind of mouth breathers are those?
The same ones that like Hocus Pocus and the Goonies.
Well, moving to September 11th, we had the Criterion special edition of The Tree of Life with 50 minutes of extra footage.
Jesus.
I love Tree of Life, but I just don't know if I can watch these longer versions of his movies,
Yeah. I was not a fan of Tree of Life, I have to admit. I hate to say that. I know a lot of people love it, and I can understand why, but it just didn't do it for me, and there's no way I could sit through another 50 minutes of that, so I did not request this title, and I can't tell you what's different, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I totally understand. I mean, I got The New World a few months ago, and it's the longer version of The New World, which is the movie I love, and I just don't know if I need to see a longer version. It's fine the way it is.
Yeah.
Again,
I feel that way about that and Tree of Life, which are both to me like beautiful masterpieces of movies, and and most of the time when you add stuff, it's to clarify. Which I doubt very seriously that's Malick's intention. It's probably to mystify it more. But when he adds stuff, this isn't confusing enough. I got to add 50 more minutes into it.
Yeah.
It just, it absolutely, the experience was, for both those films, was perfect the way it was.
They're fine the way they are, and this goes back to the problem with director's cuts. You just, if a movie warrants a director's cut, it was obviously fine when it came out. So why do you need to see? Oh, because people want to see more. But adding more.
Put it in the deleted scenes section.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what that is for.
I read an article that said they were experimenting with a new idea about this Criterion set of Tree of Life, where they were going to, the technology now enables them to somehow put it so each time that you watch the movie you'd see a different cut of it, and somehow it would alter like different scenes.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, they ultimately did not go with that, but it was something that was thought about.
And they will do it one day.
Yeah.
They probably will do it one day.
So,
I just don't know if I need to see that, happening.
Yeah, it was like a continually evolving version of Tree of Life.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I read was there were going to be up to 6 possible versions you could see if they, went that way. So.
Okay.
Anyway, but moving along, in 4K we have John Carpenter's Christine, which is surprising that they've gone and put that out on 4K because the 4K has been
one of those lesser movies.
Yeah, but apparently it has a huge following.
I saw that in the store the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Who does he use as his DP? I mean, it wasn't Dean Cundy and Christine, was it?
No, on this one, I'm thinking he went back to the guy that did the earlier movies for him. The guy that photographed Elvis. I can't think of that guy's name, but I believe that's the guy. The guy he was using before Cundy came along.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
they look like. They do kind of look like Peter Hyams movies.
Yeah.
You think about how, when the light reflected off the camera and all that kind of stuff, the headlights and everything.
Yeah.
There's lots of that in both of their movies.
Yeah, it's Donald Morgan. That's who it is. I couldn't think of the guy's name. Donald Morgan, who also did Elvis, and he did I Want to Hold Your Hand and Used Cars, and
wow,
some fairly good movies. And so he also did Starman. I guess they worked together more than once. But speaking of Carpenter on 4K, well, Halloween's out on 4K, so that's another one from Lionsgate.
Well, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah. But so the reviews, I didn't get a review copy of it, but reading some reviews, they say it's spectacular transfer. Like you've not seen it like this before. And there's a decent batch of extras, and there is an extra Blu-ray in there for those who just want a Blu-ray for whatever reason, but apparently it's not the new transfer. It's a Blu-ray of a transfer from about 10 years ago, so people need to be aware that the Blu-ray is a totally different transfer of the movie. If you want the best, then you want to watch it in 4K if possible.
Here's sacrilege, even though not really. I rewatched Halloween last night.
Mm-hmm. So,
and for me, it's still a 4-star out of 5-star movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's a great film, almost in spite of itself, because it is really silly.
Yeah.
And I think people. It is a classic, and I contend that. But I think people are so wrapped up in classic and taking it so seriously and everything, and they don't see that it's very silly. And that's different from being simple. The movie is very simple, which is to its credit. There's also a lot of silly shit.
Can you give an example? Like are you talking about like when they talk to Michael Myers and he's just sitting there trying to, listening or whatever and doing something weird?
That's the stuff they added for the TV stuff. But also, like the Totally girl, like she has to say totally, like every single sentence she's on screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's of course Donald but I think Donald Pleasance. I think they're in on it with Donald Pleasance. I mean, they have to be. They have to know that he's hamming it up with the dialogue that they give him.
Yeah.
And it plays very comical, so that's fine. And I don't. If it was not what my point is, you take that script and you give it to anybody that makes horror movies, really, any Joe Schmo, which every Joe Schmo makes them now. It will be completely unremarkable. The thing that makes Halloween remarkable is
the direction.
Carpenter's artistry as a director.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that really distinguishes it.
Yeah.
That's why it's a masterpiece of horror.
The manipulation of the camera and the music is what makes it great.
Yeah. Well, the music cannot be underplayed.
No.
The importance of that. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, the atmosphere is what always the atmosphere of dread or whatever that something could. That's what I thought was the most effective thing about it.
I think you're right on that too. It's the sort of autumnal quality to it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that's missing from a lot of Halloween movies that take place on Halloween. It's the kind of
and it wasn't shot.
Kind of
it wasn't shot in that season. It was
Yeah.
shot
No,
in, like the
not at all.
spring.
Yeah.
They had like 2 bags of leaves that they kept having to reuse.
Right.
It's
That's true.
amazing.
But they do such a great job.
Wow, they had to sweep up all those leaves. And, wow.
Yeah. But also it's also a little silly to kind of refer to the character as kind of, some kind of mythical character, the Shade.
Mm-hmm.
When we've seen him as a little kid, I mean, we know he comes from, a human gene. We've seen him as a little kid murdering this woman.
Yeah. It's
anyway.
true. Everything is you're saying is
just
correct.
write your hate mail to moviegeeksunited@yahoo.com.
We still love Halloween, but
sure.
I think I've seen it enough, and I don't need to go back to the well again.
Yeah, I've seen it a few too many times. Also, I have to agree, both in theaters and at home.
Mm-hmm.
So,
plus, here's another argument.
About...
Here's another point that bugs me, and then we'll get off Halloween. In the opening of the movie, it's dominated by her turning around and he's there. Like, I think there are too many instances. It's like 6 or 7 different times that he looks and he's there. And it's like, we got the point after like the first 3 times.
Yeah.
But it feels like they have to fill the movie because they know they have such a thin movie. So they have to fill it with like moments that'll add minutes to the running time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the problem they ran into on television because they had to trim down the violence, and the movie's so thin anyway. So when they got rid of some of the more violent content, that's why they were forced to go and shoot some new footage to include because they didn't have enough. It wasn't enough to fill a 2-hour time slot, and they couldn't sell advertising. Yeah. So, and they just fortuitously were shooting Halloween 2 at the same time that it was going to, around the same time they were prepping it for network television. So then Carpenter said, we got all the casting crew here, let's just shoot a couple things and throw it in there. So they did. That's what they did. They made it up on the fly.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, and I know I'm on a Poltergeist kick, but I read the other day, Poltergeist 2, when it played in the theater, was 86 minutes. The original cut of that thing was like 2 hours and 6 minutes or something.
Wow.
They cut something like almost 40 minutes from that movie.
Well, that shows in the movie because a lot of it doesn't make any sense.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. And but here's something that distinguishes Poltergeist and Poltergeist 2. Nobody dies in them.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie where nobody dies, really.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that to get a certain rating or something.
I don't know, but I mean, it works. It works like gangbusters in the first one.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
And it's so effective that it's hard to believe. You got to rethink it. Really, nobody died?
Yeah.
Poltergeist 3 was just when I saw it in a theater, it was a weird feeling because she had been dead 4 months at that point. You know, and I just watching that and seeing her on screen, I just got this, I can't even articulate what my feeling was, but it was just this weird, and she didn't look well in the movie because I think they had misdiagnosed her. She had these intestinal problems, and they misdiagnosed it as Crohn's disease. Yeah, and they were giving her this medication for Crohn's disease, which she did not need, and she had this blockage that was undiagnosed until it was too late. That's essentially what killed her, and so she doesn't look well in the movie. She looks ill, and they're trying to dress her up. She's like 12 years old, and they're trying to dress her up as the little Carol Ann from the first movie, and that's creepy too.
That's weird.
It is. They have her the same haircut and all that, and it's like she's not a little kid anymore. You know, I don't know. There's just a lot of weird things about that movie that just.
After the second one, I gave up on the whole thing. So I've never given the third one a run.
Yeah, I did because I was just curious about it, but it's like Jamie said, not a particularly good experience. But anyway, we'll move on to the 1988 film, a film that Roger Ebert said, Demi Moore has a genuine charisma, an aura of intelligence and resolve, and she provides a strong center to this film. It's The Seventh Sign.
The Butcher's Wife.
Oh, no.
Seventh Sign.
The Butcher's
No.
Wife. Seventh Sign. With Michael Biehn co-starring, and anyway.
Boy.
Yeah. It's hard to believe Ebert gave that one a positive word of mouth, but
sometimes Ebert would like some really bad movies just because they were true to a certain kind of ethos he thought they had. So
well, Jamie and I talked about this not long ago. He liked Cop and a Half, if you remember. I don't know.
Yeah,
right. Wow.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Michael Biehn, Sean Bean, and Mr. Bean in the same movie.
Yeah.
Well,
bean salad.
Yes, exactly. Well, this does have a Jack Nitzsche score, though. We're always talking about Jack Nitzsche, and he did the score for The Seventh Sign. So
it's one of the few Nitzsche scores that's available. I mean, so little of his work is commercially available out there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever checked out that series of? There's a series of discs out there that have that are all Jack Nitzsche produced or written singles for other artists, and some of those have some soundtrack cuts in them as well. And so that's a really interesting series. There's at least 3 of them I know, and they're double discs. So that's a really interesting thing out there.
For that special niche audience that likes to hear a musician playing the saw.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Nietzsche that's always struck me as funny is he and Sonny Bono were collaborators. I mean, they were very, very close. They worked together very closely. Which
he was probably a major hippie, wasn't he?
I think he was. Yeah.
Is it Needles and Pens or?
That's one.
Needles and Pens. Yeah.
That's one of theirs, and they did a lot of other stuff. And I think he kind of showed Sonny Bono the ropes and how to do work the control room and how to find your way around a recording studio. He showed him all the ins and outs and what have yous, and so I think he was very crucial in helping him know the business and the technical stuff. I mean, so yeah. But
here's my last point about Poltergeist 2. there's an joke in that movie that I missed because the Indian Will Sampson comes to them and says, "We're going to protect you," and the mother is more trusting of him than the father is. The father is skeptical, and they're looking outside, and he's just sitting out in the back lawn, and he's saying, "I don't know about this guy. I mean, what if he escaped from a mental institution?" Which is an in joke, which is clever. Because he's the one that flew over the cuckoo's nest. It's neat.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny.
Not enough to recommend it, but
yeah. Well, yeah, that's smart at least. Well, the Seventh Sign is a Scream Factory release, and it has a new interview with the director, an interview with Michael Biehn, and interview with a couple of the actors. So, and a new transfer. So if you're
that's what
a fan of the
who directed that
or something, right?
I can't remember.
Carl Schultz, sorry.
Oh.
Carl Schultz. Yeah. So, Big Wednesday is a Warner Archive release. John Milius.
Yeah.
Which has become a favorite.
A little bit of a cult movie.
It has.
With Jan Michael Vincent. This is also off the top of my head. It's Jan Michael Vincent, Gary Busey, and who's the other guy? Who's the third guy?
William Catt.
Right. That's good casting. Yeah. Are you flashing back to a William Catt interview you did?
Yeah. So we got Black Sunday, we got Stormy Monday, we got Tuesdays with Maury,
Big
Wednesday. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday, have a Thursday movie?
I know there's a movie called Thursday's Child. But
okay.
Thursday's Game with Bob Newhart.
Oh yeah, Thursday's Game.
Wow, look at you.
That's the TV movie he did with Gene Wilder. Yeah.
Yeah, written by Buck Henry, I believe.
Yeah, I watched that just recently.
Yeah. It's true.
All right, so we got a movie
one
for every day of the week. That's
right.
Cool.
There we go. But yeah, Big Wednesday has a new transfer, has a feature-length commentary by John Milius, retrospective documentary called Capturing the Swell, and the theatrical trailer. And, it is an interesting movie in that the Jan Michael Vincent character, he kind of meets a fate like the real Jan Michael Vincent did in real life, which is kind of sad when you think about it. But the things haven't ended up well for him, nor do they for the character in the movie. So
I'm sure in the movie it's not as dramatic as his real ending was. But
no,
everybody should see that coming.
I know, and he's still alive. He's still alive in spite of all the things that that have happened to him.
I guess you could call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's so sad when you think about what a career he had and how on fire he was back in those days, and just how it turned out. It's so tragic.
And then how he was literally on fire. It just terrible.
Yeah, he literally was. Yes, this is true.
It's awful.
Yeah. Well, the only movie to star both of the Bills, Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton, well, that would be Brain Dead. Featuring the two Bills, and that's a Scream Factory release from 1990, also starring Bud Cort and George Kennedy. How about that cast?
Wow. No thanks.
Yeah.
Moving
well,
on.
It's written by Charles Beaumont, who did a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I can't say I've ever seen it.
Didn't they retitle Peter Jackson movie Brain Dead? That movie
that's
Dead
a
Alive.
Movie. Dead Alive. I love that. That's great. Yeah.
Dead Alive is great. It's a great
sure
gory movie. But did they retitle that Brain Dead or Brain something?
They did. Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right. I think it was I think it was originally Brain Dead, and then it became Dead Alive, and they cut it, I think, by about 15 minutes for its U.S. release. But thankfully, it's been restored on home video to its great gory glory. So it's good. Got to have a strong stomach, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, back when Peter Jackson used to make some crazy-ass stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Forgotten Silver. That one about them discovering, it's a film crew that discovers the set of a long-lost silent movie, and that's a really interesting movie.
I never saw that one. I'm aware of it, but I never did see it. Although I did see his Muppet movie, Meet the Feebles, which is quite interesting.
Which that Hollywood Murders seems to take a lot from that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, except it's not nearly as clever as Peter Jackson's film.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot funnier and a lot more clever. Very, very tasteless. I would be the first to admit that, but also very, very enjoyable if you have the right mindset for it.
I wonder if he feels like, I mean, obviously he chooses to do it. Like if working in mainstream movies, if that's dulling his wilder instincts, or if he feels like that was the young me, and my heart's not in that anymore.
He might. He might not. He's obviously not hungry anymore. Of course,
Yeah.
Look, and but I think that has a lot to do with it. He doesn't have to do anything.
That's true.
Remarkable anymore because he's already got the entire world.
Well, if he made anything, that didn't have appeal to the masses, he probably would not. Probably put the success that he's made for himself over the past decade or so in jeopardy. He probably feel.
Yeah.
If anybody that was Lord of the Rings fan saw Meet the Feebles, dare I say, they would they knew it existed, and his name was attached.
From the director of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that would attract probably some people who wouldn't know what they were getting into. Yeah.
See, the Muppet movie with a turtle that has AIDS and a shit-eating fly.
God.
Oh, yeah. Well. So we move along to September 18th, and how about Scream for Help? This was a curio I'd heard about for years. It's a horror film, but it's a real interesting combination. It's written by Tom Holland, who, of course, later directed Child's Play and wrote and directed Fright Night and Class of '84 and Psycho 2 and so many others. But it's directed by Michael Winner. And it has music by John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin. That was some credits list there, and I was always curious about this. And it has a cult following. It definitely does. And for years, people have been trying to get that. There's been petitions to get it released, and I'm not going to tell you it's a great movie. It's just tonally inconsistent and really all over the place. It's very reminiscent of The Stepfather, in that this girl, she's pretty sure her stepfather's trying to kill everybody in the family, but can't convince them that he's going to, and everybody refuses to believe her until the last half hour of the movie when they do believe her, and it's too late, and it goes off the rails, but.
Wow, the cast list is a lot of people I don't know.
I know. I wasn't familiar with them either, but apparently people are really pleased that this got issued, and it's been notoriously hard to find. So, anyway, Criterion issued My Man Godfrey from 1936. That has been issued. And another Warner Archive title here, we talked about this one, I think, last month. I mentioned it was coming along, is Looker.
Looker.
Michael Crichton.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I liked it when it came out. I knew it wasn't a good movie, but I still liked it. Albert Finney and James Coburn, right?
James Coburn, yeah. Susan Day.
And Susan Day is the female lead, yeah.
Is Wolfen on Blu-ray?
What's that?
Is Wolfen on Blu-ray?
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah, that's been out for quite a while. Yeah.
I always try and get through Wolfen, and I get real bored with it. I can't get through it.
I didn't like it when it originally came out. I was very bored with it, actually, but I haven't seen it since I was like 12, 13 years old. The adult me might feel differently, but when I saw it when it came out, and I didn't like it. I was very bored with it.
So, Dean, Adam and I were talking the other week, and there's some movies that you'd never think of, like, but as soon as you hear their titles, it like brings back like a rush of memories, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot that movie even existed. And it feels like the 80s or the 70s again. Like I thought of one movie the other day that you never see anywhere. Like it's never anywhere, and it's not a great movie. It's that movie Memories of Me with Billy Crystal and Alan King.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like that movie never existed. And then Adam brought up this movie, Savannah Smiles. And I was like, of course. And it's the first time I've thought of that movie.
It's a real hard movie to watch. I don't know why. It's just it feels so amateurish. Yeah, I remember Memories of Me. I remember having to review it back in the 80s. Yeah, not a great movie.
Yeah, but I did go back and watch. I did watch that. I did watch the extra features on Savannah Smiles after we talked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because somebody uploaded them on YouTube, and that little girl died. But man, they showed a picture of her as a teenager. She turned out beautiful. She was a beautiful young woman.
Wow, I gotta watch that. Yeah, because I was so shocked. I was reading a review of that when it came out on Blu-ray a couple of months ago. I was reading the review, and it said that she had been dead like 20 years, and I was so surprised. I had no idea. And stuff like that usually doesn't escape my radar.
It's on YouTube. It's like a 20-minute featurette, and her mother talks about her. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. That's terrific.
What did you guys feel about that movie, by the way? It's not positive, I hope.
No, it's not a great movie.
It's the cop and a half of its generation.
It is.
Yeah.
But it gives you that
If we
warm,
call up
fuzzy
Aaron, I'm
feeling.
sure he'll say, it's not a bad movie.
I
Nice
Gets
movie.
the job done.
warm and fuzzy.
Gets the job done.
Okay.
I don't remember a frame of it. I don't remember a thing about it. But I do remember the title and what the movie was.
I remember putting it on. I came across it at a library, and I took it home, put it in, and then like 20 minutes in, I was like, nope, this isn't going to work. It's just the kind of movie that I would like, too, a little indie movie from that era.
Yeah.
But nope, it's no Marvin and Tide.
Nope. At all.
Marvin and Tide is a great movie.
John Cassavetes,
Okay.
Marvin and Tide.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's the one Cassavetes movie nobody ever mentions. Well, that and The Incubus, but that's the other one.
If they saw Marvin and Tide, which is hard to find, because it's not out there on disc or it's not out there in the ether anywhere. So I have a VHS copy of it, filmed here in Atlanta. Utilizes Atlanta really well. Also stars Billy D. Williams and really great kid actor named Gilbert Brown. It's really, really good movie.
I have that soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah,
Marvin
the
and
soundtrack
Tide.
is by it has Earl Klugh on it, right?
Yeah, I picked it up for $1.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, so thank you for explaining to me.
Yeah. Earl Klugh, but it's Patrick Williams who did the soundtrack. He did the music for Breaking Away, among many other movies. And
yeah. He just recently passed, too, not long ago, a couple months ago.
Mm.
So, just a couple more titles for September the 18th. The Evil with Richard Crenna and Joanna Pettit from 1978.
Oh, that just popped up on Prime.
Yeah, it's been making the torrenting sites, I think, maybe because of this new Blu-ray.
Uh-huh.
But
one of the only actresses whose last name is also an invitation.
Yeah, she didn't do a whole lot after The Evil. That was like one of the final major credits she had. I mean, there's a few after that, and then she finally retired in the
By the way,
early 90s.
Speaking of Joanne Pettit and her involvement with Sharon Tate, TCM was playing Sharon Tate movies the other day, and I've never seen them. So I saw The Wrecking Crew, which is the last of the 4 Matt Helm movies with Dean Martin.
Wow. Those are not good.
Terrible, ridiculous movies. But she was really good in it. She was a really appealing comic actress in it.
Oh. Mm.
And then I saw her first movie, which is called Eye of the Devil, which when she was killed, a lot of people thought Satanism and all that kind of stuff because she had made a Satan movie and so had Polanski. And her Satan movie was Eye of the Devil with David Niven and Deborah Carr.
Mm.
Also not a good movie, though really thick on atmosphere. It's a J. Lee Thompson film.
Mm.
And she's okay in that. But Wrecking Crew, she's really good.
Yeah, I've never seen that. But I'm aware of it.
Once you see one Matt Helm movie, you know not to go to any
Yeah.
Which is a shame to say,
funny.
but
it is really like 60s kitsch. It's like and every time he sees a girl, he sings a little snippet on the soundtrack. So they slip in 4 or 5 Dean Martin songs in there, even though the character doesn't sing. And it's just this god awful.
Yeah.
Too bad. Well, speaking of god awful, here's another one: Cabin Boy with Chris Elliott.
Which isn't actually when I finally got around to giving that a spin, I was like, hey, this is not excruciating. And when it came out, it got
That's what I meant.
So lambasted. I guess, I don't know why exactly, but I guess there were high hopes for it because maybe they heard that Letterman was going to be in it for a little bit. He pops up in it for about 5 minutes, and but I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, which is as positive as I can get on it. So.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I can't really make a comment on that. So.
Canteen Boy. Now that's funny. The SNL skit Canteen Boy, where Alec Baldwin's coming on to Adam Sandler. That skit would not fly today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Camp Counselor tried to come on to the little boy and his troop. Yeah, that was not.
Oh yeah.
And well, they did a lot of that, like the Buck Henry thing with the two.
I was gonna say
the two daughters that he's babysitting, and oh boy, that wouldn't work.
Yeah,
wow.
But it sure is funny now. Looking back on it, I still laugh at it. I don't care. To me, anyway. Because I always think about the last line in that, because he says, I think the line is something about, she says, there's only one like you, and he looks at the camera and he goes, oh, there's plenty of me out there, plenty just like me out there, or something like that.
Terrible.
Wow.
You know what SNL skit? I saw this SNL skit once, and they've never replayed it. It's not available anywhere, but it's Alec Baldwin was hosting. And it's about it's like The Godfather Part 20 or something, and there's been so many years that have elapsed. They're like in outer space. It's like a cross between Star Trek and The Godfather. And Michael Corleone is dead, but his brain is kept alive in a jar. and you hear him talking, and it cuts to like the brain, and you hear Alec Baldwin saying, "Don't you know, Kay, that I would never let that happen." I really want to see that skit again.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's a couple of things like that seem to conveniently disappear. And one of them was those Saturday TV Funhouse cartoons they did, the Robert Smigel. They did one that was a parody of Sex in the City, and it was called Sex in the Country. And they took the real audio from Sex in the City, and they animated it using farm animals. Oh, my God. That's one of the funniest things I've heard. And it turned up on YouTube, and they yanked it immediately. Like, it was pulled down immediately.
Oh, wow.
And
have they ever come out with a collection of those?
They do, but that's not on there because apparently they aired that once, and they got so many complaints that it didn't even air in repeats or anything. And if you can find that, because I saw it on YouTube, and I mean, I thought I was in tears. I was on the floor laughing so hard. It was just hysterical. But anyway, it's if you can find that, that's worth seeking out as well. So a couple more Arrow video releases here. The Pajama Girl Case from 1977 and Horrors of Malformed Men from 1969. Two horror films with actually pretty good cult followings. I've seen or heard Pajama Girl Case come up in discussion in a lot of these horror movie sites and whatnot, but it's one I have not seen. And then there's Bat 21. Speaking of Gene Hackman and Danny Glover,
another thing that popped up on Prime recently.
Yeah, this also has Jerry Reed. In it, and I think he's one of the producers of it, I believe. But or he's a co-writer or something. Yeah.
It's weird because Hackman did two movies with almost the same plot. Where their roles were reversed. He did Bat 21, where he crashes behind enemy lines and he's forced to survive.
Oh yeah.
While other people try to find him.
Uncommon Valor.
Then he did Behind Enemy Lines, where he's trying to find Owen Wilson behind enemy lines.
Oh yeah, God. Boy, Hackman. I don't know. How weird. Gene Hackman, Danny Glover, Jerry Reed.
I know, what a casting, right? What a casting. Yeah, it is.
Who else is in it?
Yeah. Yeah, she got the gold mine, he got the shaft. That's all.
Those are the only... David Marshall Grant, Clayton Rohner, and Eric Anderson are the other ones. But
yeah, I don't know.
Peter Markle directing.
Oh, boy.
So, and then we have the 1984 film Impulse. That's a Kino release. That's Meg Tilly and Tim Matheson and Hume Cronin. What a combo there.
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure what the plot is on that one. I remember seeing that title crop up on pay cable back in the day, but never did see it. But it also has John Carlin and Bill Paxton turns up in this one as well. But it's one of those Kino releases. They've gotten all those Touchstone movies and they're putting those out. So that may be one of those. I'm not sure, but Peter Fonda's directorial. I'm not sure if this was his directorial debut, but it's one of his better known efforts. The Hired Hand.
The Hired Hand. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Warren
came out
Oates.
Warren. It came out around that time when Universal was really trying to get into the indie film game after the success of Easy Riders, and this is one of those where they were about the same time they did The Last Movie and Two-Lane Blacktop. All those were Universal movies, and this one is another one. And this is the Aero Academy release, and nice batch of extras here. I didn't get a review copy on this one, and I've not seen The Hired Hand, but I have always heard
it's good
things. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Here's one I did get to see: Roger Moore and Susanna York in Gold from 1974, which is directed by Peter Hunt, who also did On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes.
And it's it's half a decent movie, I guess. There's some of the gold mine collapse sequences are good in that 70s disaster way.
It's a time waster.
The love story between Susanna York and Roger Moore, just every time the movie tries to get interesting, they just kind of go back to that, and that should have been eliminated. But it does have some of my favorite character actors of the 70s. It's got good casting: John Gielgud, Bradford Dillman, and you have Ray Milland even. So
all those guys were kind of on the way out already.
Yeah, but I still love seeing them.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get into
not
the
to be
Twilight
confused
time.
with the McConaughey Gold, right?
No relation. None at all. Well, we will get into the Twilight Time stuff. So we have The Last Hurrah from 1958, directed by John Ford.
Right, with Spencer Tracy, right?
Yeah, Spencer Tracy.
Yeah.
Yes. Based on the Edwin O'Connor novel. It's a political film, character study.
Mm.
And
it's a little overwrought. It's one of those late 50s overwrought political movies. There were a lot of them back then, and
there were.
And so it's not really a good movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, there's The Bravados, directed by Henry King, and this is Gregory Peck and Joan Collins and Stephen Boyd.
I was watching a Henry King movie the other night. I was watching The Gunfighter, which I'd never seen, with Gregory Peck.
Yeah, that's another.
Which it's done in 1950, and
that's right.
We talked about the photography by Arthur Miller, not the playwright. This is another Arthur Miller, and it was beautifully photographed, and they called it the first adult Western. That doesn't mean there's sex in it or anything, but it means, that it wasn't made really for kids or whatever. It wasn't just to shoot them up. It was a psychological tale of Gregory Peck returning to his old life, and after being a gunfighter for so many years, and reconnecting with his former love interest, and it was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, this was their attempt to reunite after that, and this was 8 years after. But yeah, it's a Western also, and pretty good. I would recommend it for a watch. It's pretty good. So another Twilight Time release would be John Boorman's 2004 film, Samuel L. Jackson, Juliette Binoche, In My Country. Which I think is maybe one of his last films so far. I don't think he's done anything since then.
It's not I wouldn't recommend it. I'm sorry to say. It's not Boorman is at top level, But he made some good movies at the end of his career. But I didn't care for that or Queen and Country, the Hope and Glory sequel. Both of those didn't work, but I really like some of the others.
Well, we'll mention one of his other films that came out this month as well. This one's pretty notorious. Exorcist II, The Heretic. How could we go without mentioning this one? The special edition Scream Factory 2-disc special edition with 2 different cuts. As we all know, the film was so poorly received that John Boorman was in Ireland the weekend it was released, and he was called by Warner Brothers and told to do something immediately, and so they actually called him. They called the theaters and told them what he suggested they cut, and they had to physically cut parts out of the print of the movie.
Wow, really?
Because they couldn't, it was the best they could do at that time, trying to make it more agreeable, I guess. But
how could that couldn't possibly be done today, of course, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
They actually had the theater operators being a film editor.
Yes, they told them what parts to cut out, and they shortened it. But there's apparently 4 different cuts of this movie. But there's a 110-minute version that was on VHS tape back in the 80s. But this version's even shorter, 102-minute version that's on a second disc. But then you get the full 117-minute version. And that one, what makes this interesting is, Boorman has been not willing to talk about Exorcist II over the years. Nobody's gotten him to talk about it. And somehow, at Scream Factory, they got him to contribute an audio commentary.
Well, probably because he's not directing anymore. And, so he has plenty of time on his hands. And probably.
There's a new commentary.
There's a person that deserves an honorary Oscar.
I agree.
John Boorman.
I agree. Well, the other cut of the film has an audio commentary by our friend Mike White of the projection booth. So he does the other commentary on the shorter cut.
My game show nemesis.
That's right, absolutely.
That's actually what it says in the back of the cover, game show.
On the back of the cover, Dean
projection booth host.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but
I love
anyway,
that wacky movie. I was telling you, Adam, that I agree with Pauline Kael on that movie, where she said, "Look, this is not a good movie, but it has enough visual imagination to fill 10 movies." That's a Looney Tunes movie, Exorcist II.
Yeah.
And for them to have thought that it would go over at all is crazy time. Like the studio actually thought. It's like, what? But I guess they had Richard Burton. They had a continuation of a huge hit, and they had John Boorman, who was a distinguished director. They thought,
that's right.
So they'll work it out.
Yeah.
They'll be all right. Oh, boy, were they wrong.
Well, the biggest mistake was them calling it Exorcist II. They should just call it The Heretic, and then people wouldn't have gotten their expectations up. But, the interesting thing about the movie is it actually did. It wasn't, it made its money back because it was booked into theaters because they blind booked it, because it had The Exorcist II, and they told theater owners that if they wanted to get other Warner Brothers movies that summer of 77, they would have to blind book it in order to get other Warner Brothers product. So they said, it's a no-brainer, it's Exorcist II, sure. And they got it, and of course, once that first weekend, people saw how terrible it was, and they were telling everybody, don't go see it, and they were stuck with it for up to 6 weeks, I think, 6 to 9 weeks. So they couldn't get rid of it, and that was in a day when we only, theaters only have one screen.
Yeah.
So it was. But anyway, it's a good-looking transfer, and there's new audio commentary. Like I said, new interview with Linda Blair here, where she talks about the whole experience of making it. It's really interesting. And there's teaser and theatrical trailers, lots of still galleries, and so I would recommend this one, even though the movie definitely has its flaws. It's worth getting, really, for a lot of various reasons.
A great score.
Yes.
Watch it for the score and watch it for the visuals.
Who did the score? Is it Lalo Schifrin?
Morricone.
Morricone,
okay.
Yeah. And another, while we're on the and this is the final Twilight Time title, another summer of 1977 movie that kind of landed with a thud is The Other Side of Midnight.
Oh, that's terrible. Terrible, soapy. You know, is it Harold Robbins or?
No, it's Sidney Sheldon.
Okay, so it's in
so
that
close.
same
thing.
In the same category. But yeah, forget it. It's terrible.
It's to me, it's one of those so bad it's good type things. It's really bad, but then it's enjoyable from a so bad it's so good.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me, it's guilty pleasure time. Not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to say this movie is the answer to a trivia question. Because when Star Wars came out, this was a 20th Century Fox release. When Star Wars was being released, nobody had faith in Star Wars, as we all know. And so in order to get Star Wars into theaters, they had to agree to book Star Wars with The Other Side of Midnight because they'd been a bestseller.
Wow.
And so they said, in order for you to get Star Wars, in order for you to get Other Side of Midnight, because everybody thought that was going to be a big hit, you got to take this little space movie, Star Wars. And so that's what that was. They did, and of course, Other Side of Midnight landed with a huge stud, as we know. It's this 2-hour and 45-minute, like you said, soap opera-ish.
Written by Herman Rauscher, huh? Your friend.
Yeah. Well, when I talked to him last year, he told me that his name is listed, but he said my contributions are basically nothing because I wrote a draft, they didn't use it, and then they brought in Daniel Taradash, who's a blacklisted writer, and they used his draft. He said, but because I had kind of contributed some sort of a framework that they went with, he said they gave me a credit, but he said I really had no part in that. And he said that he thought it was bad. So
nominated for one Oscar. What was it? Costume design? I haven't gotten to it yet, but I bet it's costume design.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Now there's a great Michel Legrand score. You know, I love my Legrand. So, it is a good score. It really, really is. And, what can you say about it? But it's worth noting because this was the movie that was paired with Star Wars when it was going into theaters. And, of course, wouldn't it have been interesting if Star Wars had kind of flopped and The Other Side of Midnight became the hit?
That would have been miraculous.
People dressed as characters from the movie at sci-fi convention.
That's Susan Sarandon.
I like the story that Friedkin tells because when he went to the advanced Chinese theaters to see Star Wars, and it was a phenomenon, and he was standing in the back with a projectionist or something. And Friedkin was like, this is really amazing, huh? And the guy was like, yeah, we've never seen anything like this before. And he says, well, my movie Sorcerer plays in this theater next week. And the projectionist said, well, Star Wars will be back the week after. He said words about it.
Well,
Hu Gulager is in Other Side of Midnight.
Yes, he is.
He famous
certainly is.
Famous character actor and theater denizen.
Yeah, Susan Sarandon.
Why didn't they just call it 1201? Why they got to be so poetic with it?
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, on this disc, I will say there's an interesting audio commentary here because it has this is a new commentary, I think, because it has Frank Yablans, the producer, the director Charles Jarrett, author Sidney Sheldon, and film historian Laurent Boutsireau are all together in a group commentary. So that might be worth the price of the disc just to hear them riff on Other Side of Midnight.
That'd probably be the only way you can get through it.
Yeah, so anyway, and we'll go on and say Grizzly it's been issued before in limited edition, but it's been reissued by Scorpion Releasing, and this time it has an audio commentary with Lee Gambin, who comes up on our Blu-ray show quite a bit, and I'll give you I'll go ahead and tease it a little bit. We're going to have him on in 2 weeks. I'm going to be talking to Mr. Lee Gambin about his audio commentaries that seem to be, he's getting to be pretty prolific here. So
now, this is a name I don't know.
Is he the one that did the Giant Bunny movie commentary?
Yeah, he did that one.
He did Night of the Lepus?
He did,
I like
and
this
he
guy.
also, yeah, he did another one too this month on another title I haven't gotten to yet. I'll go ahead and spit it out real fast. Good Times, Sonny and Cher's Good Times.
Oh, right,
the only
William
film they ever
Friedkin.
made. Yeah, he did a commentary on that, which also has an interview with William Friedkin that's worth the price of the disc almost. It's an 18-minute piece where he gives a total overview of Sonny Bono's creative process, even though he didn't know how to write music and had no idea. And it's very interesting about the production of the film and about how they wound up stealing shots because they didn't have enough footage to actually make up a film when they finished shooting. And it's really, really good. The movie's not great, of course, but
yeah, it's not.
you know, the extras are good. And so anyway, but yes, this Grizzly, as I was saying, has been issued by Scorpion with a new audio commentary by Lee Gambin, and yeah, he has written quite a few books, and he's got a really interesting book that I just started on about the making of Cujo called Nope, Nothing Wrong Here. It's a 500-page book about Cujo, the making. And it's actually very interesting because that movie had a very troubled production.
Yeah, I know it did.
Yeah, so it's good. So he'll talk more about that when we get him.
That takes some moxie, man, to write a 500-page book on the making of Cujo.
I know. I can't wait to talk to him.
You have to really love it, you know.
Yeah, he's. I'm sure he's got stories, and he knows a lot of these people really well who were involved in the production. He just finished a 500-page book on the making of Christine, which comes out in a couple of months. So he keeps on pumping them out. But
interesting.
Yeah. So
and Nick Nolte,
anyway,
he was the Grizzly, right?
Nick Nolte. This was the one actually had Christopher George in it, who's a staple of '70s.
Yeah, Day of the Animals.
Cinema. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Also directed by.
I thought they cast Nick Nolte because they want to save money on makeup in the budget. Maybe I'm wrong.
And in the sound effects, he could just go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That would be believable.
Yeah. So anyway, we're almost.
Nick Nolte was a sex symbol back then, which people don't remember. I'm sure from looking at him today. But.
So yeah, I'm about to wrap it up here. We're getting down to the last day of the month. We've got just a few other things. Day of the Jackal has been issued by Arrow.
That's a fantastic movie.
Yes, it is. Directed by Fred Zinnemann, and this has some excellent, or very interesting, rather, archive video clips from the film set as they were shooting the movie that they're very rare. I don't think they've been rarely seen since. But a nice little booklet on the movie. But yeah, this is about the failed attempt to assassinate the French president Charles de Gaulle. So yeah, and it was the book. It's based on the book that put Frederick Forsyth on the map.
Nominated for one Oscar, which was for film editing, which it deserves. It's one of those. It's kind of like a process movie. It's his process of setting up the assassination and everything. So it's very, very, very watchable because it's very lean and mean. It's good.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah. So anyway, that has been issued by the good folks at Arrow. And another Arrow title that I want to mention is The Baby from 1973. This has always been a guilty pleasure of mine, a horror film that I saw. I had read about it in horror movie in books when I was a kid, but it was so hard to find. And it was one of the early releases on the DVD format. And this is really an interesting movie. It did not disappoint. And it's about this social worker, played by Anjanette Comer, who's been in a lot of other things, including The Loved One and many other movies. And she's a social worker, and she discovers this 30-year-old man who still lives in a playpen and has not learned to talk or walk and drinks from a bottle. And
it's a whole subculture of that.
Yeah. Well, she takes a really inordinate interest in this case. A really obsessive interest in this case. I meant to say. And you find out why in a twist ending. I'm not going to say why, but Ruth Roman, who was a pretty well-known actress in the 50s, plays the mom, and it's quite an interesting movie. It's strange even for early 70s cinema, but it doesn't disappoint. So The Baby has been issued on Blu-ray. Thankfully, I'm glad they did, and it has some nice extras, interviews with some of the cast and the talent and behind-the-scenes, featurettes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to throw that out there. And A Raisin in the Sun is another one. This is another Criterion, Sidney Poitier.
That's a great movie.
Yeah,
I think
is.
Poitier should have won his Best Actor Oscar for that movie rather than Lilies of the Field.
I agree. It's a much better film.
Is there
really
a scene
good
in
cast.
Raisin in the Sun where someone kills himself in a mental institution?
No, never gets out of the apartment.
No.
Okay. God, there was some August Wilson play. In high school, I was in a mental institution, and my drama teacher sent homework for me. And it was an August Wilson play, and he didn't realize, I guess he wasn't thinking, that one of the scenes was somebody kills himself in a mental institution in the play. And he was like, oh my God, that was so inconsiderate that I did that. I said, that's okay, I didn't read it anyway.
Wow. Well, just a few more titles here real fast. Andrei Rublev from 1966.
Tarkovsky.
Yeah, the Tarkovsky.
Brilliant.
That's a Criterion release. And we have the 1985 film The Bride with Sting and Jennifer Beals. This is a Scream Factory release.
It's funny. All of these that you're mentioning have popped up on Prime too. I mean, The Bride did, at least, of the horror movies.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a lot of bootlegging going on with Prime these days.
Sadly, there probably is. Yeah. But yeah, that would be my.
Is that a Mike Figgis or Steve? Who did that?
That's Frank Rodham.
Yeah. Who did Quadrophenia?
Yeah, that's right.
It's easy to confuse the two. Mike Figgis, Steve Rodham.
This does have David Rappaport, who's in Time Bandits. He was the little guy who, I think he committed suicide. And it has Clancy Brown as the Frankenstein monster. And, of course, you have Sting and Jennifer Beals. And Geraldine Page also. So, not a terrible movie. It's not, it's just kind of average. But
It's bad. It's bad. It was lambasted back when it came out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe it has some nostalgia points on it.
Yeah, it's just kind of average, I think. I think it's tolerable. But anyway, for anybody who's a fan, there's a new interview with Clancy Brown, new interview with the director. So Scream Factory's done that. And they've also issued the REC collection, which is those Spanish horror films. And there's 4 of them, which I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Got the box set. But they're...
that first Wreck movie is really good. But I haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very good. So, yeah, and here's a Warner Archive release I want to mention, The Swarm from 1978.
Man, these are the worst movies. Oh, boy. People's taste has just gone downhill. I say it every Blu-ray show. But,
now we had some good.
Yeah, dude, but come on. This movie was made in like '79 or whatever.
Yeah,
'77
or whatever. So people had bad taste back then too. They made it then.
I know, but I know it's true. But I just
yeah. So they say the transfer is very good on it, but I don't know. That doesn't really make a difference when it's a bad movie.
Is there a lot of good buzz on that title?
Oh man! Also, Oscar nominated for its costumes.
Yes, it was, and the final film appearance of Fred MacMurray. So let's say that. But so Welcome to the Dollhouse has finally been issued on Blu-ray, and that's a good thing because it has not been issued on video in 20 years.
Wow!
So finally got a new upgrade with that, and it's certainly that's a good movie we can all agree on. And
it's an unpleasant movie, but it's got integrity, I guess. It feels like an early like it might be a big influence on who's that guy that did the movie about the dachshund.
Todd Solondz?
Todd Solondz, yes.
Oh, that is a Todd Solondz movie.
It is a Todd Solondz movie. That's right. Okay, I connected them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're I don't like his movies.
I do. I love them. I love every one of them. I'm not sure what that says about me, but I love everyone.
They're awful. They make you feel terrible.
I love them all.
Is it wet? Well, that's all I remember about Todd Solondz. Philip Seymour Hoffman saying, "Is it wet?" On my
Oh, I love them all. I keep hoping they're going to put Happiness out on Blu-ray. It's got a terrible transfer, but maybe one day. But anyway, so and the 1956 film Trapeze with Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis.
Yeah, that's one of those CinemaScope movies that it's not so great, real dull.
Yeah.
But it made Lancaster, everybody thought he was amazing for doing a lot of his own trapeze work on it. So,
true.
He was a big athlete.
So a couple more. The Trip to Bountiful from 1985. Speaking of Geraldine Page, that's a Kino release.
Her Oscar-winning role.
Yes, it was.
With John Hurd. That was the guy you couldn't remember the other day that I interviewed that died right after.
That's the one.
Right.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and
the killing spree continues.
Yes.
Yeah, and just three more Warner Archive titles here. Queen of Outer Space with Zsa Zsa Gabor, maybe the one movie that she made that people actually remember when they talk about her.
Well, she's in Touch of Evil.
Well, that's true.
Orson Welles.
Yeah.
So, and also Moulin Rouge, the first Moulin Rouge in the 50s with about Toulouse-Lautrec.
Yeah.
She's in that, too.
She's in Naked Gun 2.5.
That is true. Yep. She has that cameo.
Where she slaps the cop in the opening credits.
Yes.
And it's one of those dated jokes. Like, if you don't know that you don't know the joke. If you're 30 years removed.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Too topical. The Cyclops, directed by Burt I. Gordon from 1957.
Oh, who loved doing movies about giants or shrunken people or whatever,
Yeah.
And of course he had the initials BIG, big.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Still alive, by the way. Just had a birthday the other day. So, yeah, he's like 97, I think. So,
Wow.
I sent him a birthday wish on Facebook the other day. So, yeah. And then Quigley Down Under, we'll leave at that with leave the Blu-ray titles at that one from Shout Factory. It's one of their Shout selects. This is Tom Selleck and directed by Simon Windsor.
Yeah. Laura San Giacomo.
Yeah, and, Alan Rickman.
Oh, man.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah. What is she up to? It's been forever since we've seen her.
Is she in? She's in some TV show, I think. Yeah, I watched it recently on Prime, and like most of Tom Selleck's movies of that era, it's not really memorable.
Okay, here's a question. Which one would you pick? An Innocent Man or Her Alibi?
Oh my God, that's like a hellish choice. Oh boy, he really had bad luck with movies, like terrible luck with movies.
Or Mr. Baseball.
Oh God, that's even crazier. I'd go with Innocent Man, I guess.
Lassiter?
Yep.
I mean,
Lassiter.
I don't know. I mean, and then out of the blue, 3 Minute a Baby out of the blue. It's like, how did that happen? You've broken your streak.
Yeah, really.
And then later In and Out, which is actually pretty good.
Oh, right. Yeah, and he's good in that, too. Runaway.
He's really good in it.
It's a terrible movie, Runaway.
Oh,
that's
God,
another Michael
I tried
Crichton.
to watch that, and I couldn't get through it. Couldn't get through it. Impossible. Michael Crichton.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about that. Cynthia Rhodes, right? The one that was in Staying Alive. And
yeah.
Probably High Road to China out of all of those non 3 Minute a Baby.
That's probably the best of his movies.
Yeah, I would say so.
And even that one feels longish, but that great John Barry score
I was going to say, it's terrific.
Gets you through it. Oh, boy.
Bess Armstrong.
And some really amazing location work.
Yeah.
Jack Weston? Jack Weston was in that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time, but... Yeah. So, I think that's our Blu-ray report. Except for, one more. The Lee Marvin movie, The Great Scout and Cat House Thursday from 1972.
Oh, my God. I remember seeing that at the drive-in.
There's our Thursday movie.
That's it. That's true. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect ending.
Yep, that's right. That's a Kino release. So, yeah, that covers September. Actually, there's quite a few titles there. They were pumping them out.
Yeah. Lots of comedy westerns in the 70s in the wake of Blazing Saddles, and Great Scout and Cat House Thursday is one of those.
That's right.
I guess they thought Cat Ballou might work, so let's try Lee Marvin in another one.
Yep. Maybe that was the thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, Amazon Prime, Dean.
It's a big month for horror movies, of course, but and I can go through some of them, but I won't waste your time. But I will say that the best thing that they have on tap is they have Spaced, the British TV show that introduced the world to Simon Pegg and also introduced the world to Edgar Wright. So, and Spaced is a really fun show about 3 British sci-fi nerds rooming together, and it's got a lot of great sci-fi oriented humor, and fans of the genre and of horror movies and so forth will really enjoy the show. It's very, very cinematic, and when people talk about Edgar Wright and how much they love it, I love him. I wonder if they've seen Spaced. But it will be available on Prime starting in October, and it would be a good thing to watch. But the Wreck movie, Wreck 4 Apocalypse, is on Prime this month. Also, I'm just going down the list and seeing American Werewolf in Paris, which I've never seen, but I just wanted to avoid it because I have such good memories of the first movie.
Yeah, you should.
Bitter Moon, Polanski movie. That's dark comedy. That's really, really effective. Let's see.
Yeah, anyone that thinks that, he seems so prim and proper. It just doesn't make sense that Hugh Grant picked up that prostitute. Check out Bitter Moon.
Yeah. Carrie, Child's Play. You get the idea. Curse of Chucky. Here's a movie that I really like. Not a horror movie, but it is fantasy related. It's the 1985 movie Creator. Have you guys ever seen that? With
a long time ago.
With
Peter O'Toole.
Peter O'Toole, yeah.
Yeah.
And Virginia Madsen, I think an early performance by her, and Vincent Spano. It's really, really quite good. Made by the same guy who directed Cutter's Way, Ivan Passer, and so it's good. Election. Let's see, more horror movies here. Frankie and Johnny, the Al Pacino, Michelle Pfeiffer pairing.
It's a nice movie.
I love that movie. I do too. Yeah,
it's
terrific.
Good. Full Metal Jacket is coming on, so that'll be good. Ghosts and Monsters, Gods and Monsters. Sorry. And then Poltergeist 3. So
keeps coming up.
Yep. It won't die. Let's see what else we got here. The whole RoboCop franchise, 1 through 3. Yeah. 3 was shot here in Atlanta. I know somebody who was in it. Let's see. Oh boy, there's so many bad '80s movies that they have on like 6 weeks. Impossible to get through that. The Dudley Moore movie.
6 weeks.
I remember it
Dudley
well.
Moore.
Yep.
Dudley Moore and Mary Tyler Moore.
Uh-huh.
A little girl who's dying of cancer.
Right, ballerina.
Right.
Yeah.
I have that somewhere, actually.
Yeah. I tried to watch it, even on Prime. I was like, oh, I can't do it. Starship Troopers, which I still love. The 2005 Amityville Horror. Most of the horror movies, a lot of them are like remakes that were made in the 90s. But they have Texas Chainsaw 2, and also The Arrival, which is, I think, an underrated, forgotten sci-fi movie with Charlie Sheen from the mid-90s. That he discovers that there's the aliens are on Earth and blah blah blah. Eyes of Laura Mars.
Hey, what's the one that Lance Henriksen was abducted by an alien? What's the name of that one? Always heard good things about that.
Yeah, I do remember that one, but I can't remember it. I can't remember the title. We were talking about John Boorman. I'm sorry, but we were talking about John Boorman, and one of his better late period movies is The General, which I think he won something for at the Cannes Film Festival. And they have The Illusionist. I think they have both the animated movie The Illusionist and the live action The Illusionist, which are two different stories. The animated movie is by Sylvain Chimay and is really brilliant, based on a Jacques Tati script that was long lost. And this is the Illusionist with who's in it? I can't remember who's in it now, but Edward Norton is in it, and they've got The Long Riders.
Yeah, it's great.
Which is great, and Mulholland Drive. Also, a long lost Gus Van Sant movie. Even Cowboys Get the Blues.
Oh wow.
And
got a great Katie Lang soundtrack, but that's about it.
Raging Bull. I'm just going through the things that I like. Trees Lounge, Steve Buscemi's directorial debut, and really, really good script and great cast. Year of the Gun. What is that? Is
that Ryan Felipe and Benicio?
No, that was Way of the Gun. Year of the Gun is with Year of the Gun is Frankenheimer, I think.
Yeah. Sure. Wow.
And that's the interesting stuff. Not a lot of 2005, 2008, 2009 horror movies like The Skeleton Key, The Strangers, The Uninvited, which must be a remake of the old Uninvited haunted house movie. And I can't say great things about what's coming on Prime, but those are the things I'm interested in. But Spaced, I will definitely be rewatching because that is funny. That show is good, really good.
You have Dragon that on Blue, Adam?
I think no, I don't believe it is.
Oh, well, that's an oversight.
I do not believe it is.
That would be a real interesting movie to have a commentary on.
Oh yeah.
I think Cimino might have done a commentary on a DVD or something for that.
Yeah,
that they might be able to pull over. I remember him talking about it. All the problems he had with the Chinese population, Chinatown, because they hated the movie.
Oh yeah, it was yeah. That Chinese actress that's in it, Ariane, she's terrible in it. She almost sinks the movie, but still that turned out to be an okay film. You know, I still liked it. But yeah, fortunately,
I think it was issued in a box set by Carlotta Films, but it's French. I think it's way out of print now. But yeah, there is a Blu-ray out there. But you have to have a region-free player to get it, or to play it, rather.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Here's a forgotten title that I didn't get a chance to see. The number 23, Jim Carrey.
I never saw that either.
I'm interested in that. Oh, it's a Schumacher, yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in that. Because, my number is 237, so you got to look at the number 23.
Yeah. Well, he does. That's what the movie's about. His obsession with those combinations. And
yeah, when you start seeing it every place, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, you might find it's a movie you relate to. You'll be the only one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a lot of movies. Probably we probably discussed like a good 50 movies.
We probably did. Yeah, there were quite a few mentioned and referenced, and some that even weren't released this month that we sub-referenced.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. Good talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My pleasure.
My thanks to everyone listening.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to MGU.
MGU. All right.
That's going to be our gangster name. I think we should go with that.